Hello everybody, welcome in. How's everybody doing? I hope you've all been well. Get everything set. Hey Ernest Grass. I've been taking a break and working on getting some stuff ready to go, hopefully to the gallery, and choosing frames for some of these pieces. And look at the frame I found for the fish. Isn't that just like the color is just fantastic for that? So, right? I've had this frame kicking around for years. It was just metal, and then I used polymer clay, and I worked the polymer clay down into the spaces because it kind of looked like it came out of the machine shop, and not in a good way. So there's a little bit of sparkle in that orange polymer clay, and it just picks up the sparkle in the fish, and it's the perfect orange. So I was really well pleased with that. So anyway, I'm so excited. You're the first one in here, and it's just sitting here to the side. I was like, I'm gonna set that there, so if Ernest comes in, I can show him. So that's, I'm just gonna leave that up top, so folks can come in and enjoy that. So I don't know. It's been a minute since I've done a live stream. I've just had a ton of stuff going on. I've been, like I said, working on finding frames for quite a few of the pieces, and I got a couple of them. Into frames. Not as many as I had hoped, but it's a pretty good variety of things that fit a little frame. So bit by bit, they don't all have to be framed to go to the gallery, but I do need some to put on the wall. So I've missed talking to you guys. I've missed the chat, so it's good to be back. So let's get started in here. As always, I forget to give that paper a good working over before I get started. I swear I can sit and look at it for 10 minutes and not see the problem, and then as soon as I pick up the pen and start to go to it, I'm like, it's gonna rock back and forth. So I don't put any creases in it, but I do try to soften it up a little bit, because it gets a little bit stiff after it's had the watercolor applied. So just kind of taking a breath and getting myself collected a little bit. Welcome in, everybody. A fiery nebula, says Ernest. I felt like I'd kind of gotten into a rut with those gray-green ones. I find them very soothing, but when it comes to the live stream, I think you guys enjoy the ones that are more colorful. So at least when I start off with one that's nice and colorful, it gets their eyes something to look at, and gets the imagination fired up a little bit, I think. Ernest says the ones with more gray in them are the ones I like. Me too. I'm just something very, not to sound too corny, but I find them kind of grounding and calming, I guess, in a way. Ernest says he likes the fish, of course. Yeah, I did one the other night with flowers. And it's under a stack of things. I've got something being weighted down, so I can't conveniently get to it, but I think it made the chat just grind to an absolute halt when it was like, well, she's what is she? Drawing flowers? Wow, not rocks? Yeah, once every 100 videos. Throw something else in there. A dinosaur head. Rhoda says, call him silly, but how I'm adding pebbles makes it look like a dinosaur head. Do you have dinosaurs on the brain today? Yeah, we talked about dinosaurs a couple of live streams ago, and then YouTube was feeding me all kinds of clips from that Jurassic Park series of movies. So look like good movies though. Kind of want to watch them now. It's a bit of a terrifying thought that we could actually clone dinosaurs and that we would just be insane enough to do it. Oh, and Godzilla, those were some of my favorite movies as a kid. And I couldn't tell you why. The storylines are kind of wacky, and the special effects they're really cheesy, which I actually love. The cheesiness of the classic Godzilla, especially where you can see any of the strings, or you can tell that there's a person inside a rubber Godzilla suit. The the Japanese people with the white hard hats roaming around, the civil safety engineers or whatever they were. Um, Jurgen, oh, thank you. Jurgen says hi. It's been a while. It's great to see me on. It has been a while, and it's good to be back on. I was I was working on getting some stuff squared away and uh, working on the mass of pebble paintings that I've got stacked up here. I've amassed over 100 of these little guys, the little 3x3s, and quite a count on some of the other ones. So I was looking for frames for things and just thinking about the gallery that I want to get my work showing in. There's an artist cooperative gallery in a nearby town. So we've got a couple of paintings finished off. Yeah, we always hear the kitty, don't we? And I even went and fed her. I started to get the live stream ready to go, got the thumbnail all up, and I went, you know what? I'm gonna go pay the cat tax before we get started, so we didn't have to listen. Yeah, you saying hello? You're all right. Yeah. And I got all the paintings out and kind of laid them out and looked at them as a group, and it was kind of satisfying to see how everything has come along and how the work has evolved since I started it. And this one's still in. Uh, this one is still in the works, even though I couldn't stand it. I had to take it off the block and I had to peel that tape off. Um, this one I also got finished since last time and trying it out. I think that I liked this oak frame quite a lot, but then as I came into the room today, I was like, boy, that's kind of dated. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I want to go. I really like the clip frames. These are the clip frames. They're very sleek, no frame on the edge. I'm not sure they protect the watercolor quite as much as having it behind glass and with a mat, but I really like the way the oak worked off those golden tones in there. And I was kind of struggling with this. I think I might have painted on this on the last couple of live streams, but I had started with a dark wash in the background area, which is, if you've watched me for a while, you know I usually start with the big rocks and then I work down to the smaller ones. And this one I pencil outlined, used graphite and outlined the shapes for the rocks, and then came in and painted that dark gray background and put the, I was thinking, something that looked like a black sand beach. And then put the rocks in, and then it just looks so flat. So I stared at it for about a week, and then I picked up the pen and did what I do, which is draw circles all over. So, and then I looked at it and was quite happy. So that just might be the vibe. Um, that might be what things are getting. I had a new color come in called Amazonite, made from genuine Amazonite, which is sort of this turquoisey aquamarine color, and it's beautifully translucent, so I used it to make these sort of rounded pebble shapes that look like they're just sprinkled on top, and it just doesn't look quite finished to me. I'm trying to resist the urge to just take the pen to it and outline everything. I'm toying with coming in with this one and oh, thank you. Um, Maybe using something like a Copic marker. They come in just a jillion different colors, and like something like 500 or 700 colors, and getting a fine liner in an aqua color and doing the outlines in aqua. I would to define the edges a little bit, but it wouldn't be so harsh. So that's what I'm thinking on that one. Kind of seems like gems on a light table. Yeah, that's kind of the effect. Like I was thinking, what if they were backlit? You know, would these look like pieces of amber? That was what I was going for with the colorway there. And I don't think I used any. I might have used a little bit of this new color, the genuine turquoise. And it's probably a little hard for the camera to pick it up, but I used genuine amethyst here, which has it's underneath the chat here, but the genuine amethyst has this crazy sparkle to it. Unless I get the light just right, you can't see it, but up close, trust me, it's like it's just covered with iridescent glitter, which is a lot, but that's where we're at on that. And back to some of these. This is another one of the early ones, but I found this nice deep frame that I kind of like for that. Gives a sense of depth. And I actually found some frames for these 4x8 guys. Such a weird size, but and I might use a little bit of gray on the frame to make it look a little bit more like driftwood. That burgundy seems to work pretty well for the purples. And then, just for something different. What? Rocks and tulips. Here's the flower one from the other night. Every once in a while, we break out of the old pebbles and rocks. So I've got stuff strung across my work table, just about this much space to work, but I had on about Wednesday I said I need to get the live stream going. I'll try to do that tonight. And Wednesday came and went, Thursday came and went, and today's Sunday. We really got to do it, so I'm back. So it's kind of satisfying to have a group of it's a couple of things to have a group of paintings, right? It's satisfying to see the body of work there, and that was what I was working toward. I don't think of myself as being a person who sets goals and really uses goal setting as a tool. But every now and again, I'll kind of give myself a deadline or an objective, and I try not to get in my own way as I'm working towards that. So in this last period of time, probably the last 6 months, I've just had my head down, just working away, and I think I was, I tend to be a little self-sabotaging when I have a goal or I get lost in the weeds of the details. So in with the goals of getting the painting done, that body of work brought along. I also had this project that you're part of, which is the YouTube channel, and they've been quite intertwined. And there have been some challenges with that, and I think in some ways I could have a little frustration with the YouTubing part of it and the learning curve of it and just the other stuff that's gone on with it. And it's allowed me to focus my frustration and negativity onto that, or my I'm trying to think of a word that's like challenge. Uh, like what negativity I had, which isn't a lot, just some. And then to keep the work itself really pretty clear of the negative thinking and the stuff that usually acts like a parking brake on creativity. And so the painting has just come along sort of on its own in a very one of the best creative periods I've had as an artist. Maybe the word I'm looking for is sublimation. Like I've sublimated whatever angst and creative uh, um, obstacles. Like I put that onto the YouTube project and kept it away from the art making. So the art making's been pretty pure this cycle, and it's it's been a good thing. So maybe I just need to have dual goals when I'm working on something like this. But there are some points in the creative process, like the painting on the paper, the outlining, even coming back in and doing the shading. That's all stuff I can do while I'm live streaming. And the kind of the framing and the putting the pieces out and then selecting which ones might be suitable to go to a gallery, that's a different process. And I can't really talk it through, and I don't really have a way to film it. Also, I think you guys would probably be really bored with all of the there's a lot of waffling. There's a lot of like this goes in, and then I look at the group and go, well, no, that comes back out, and there's a whole lot of that, and it's just part of the process. But it's really not that entertaining. And it had to get done, so I just took some time to do it. And there's quite a lot to consider about what might go in, because you have to have things at different price points. You've got to have you do have to think about your buyers and what they might find appealing, and how you want the work to be presented. And not the least of these is that there is a process by which my work will be juried, which means that there's a group of artists already in that co-op that will take a look at the body of work and make a decision about whether or not my work fits in with their work. So I've always been pretty fortunate in that most of the galleries that I've approached to sell my work have been quite happy to have it. And I've been selling my artwork in galleries since I was 17, which is maybe not typical for a lot of artists might not have that experience, or some. It can be a struggle. So Jurgen is asking, do I sell my art much? Um, in phases. In phases. I don't work primarily to have sell artwork. I work primarily because I have a need to express myself. I'll get a head full of ideas and then they need to be translated out, and I am much I identify as a process artist. I love the process of making the art. I'm not a product driven artist. The first work that I was selling was silkscreen serigraphs. And now with these high quality printers, artists can make these giclée prints that are they're so refined, they're so beautiful, and you can print in large format, and you can do limited editions that just come off of a printer. So I think a lot of artists choose to do that. And I was working in the day where we were working with inks and solvents, and you could pull a whole edition of prints and then have it dry down and look at it and go, oh, I've got to do that whole stencil again because the color was a little bit off. And today you can just correct that all on a computer and have it all squared away before it ever gets put onto paper. So I think you've really got to love to pull a squeegee to be a screen printer these days. But my family had had flower shops. My mom worked in flower shops, and at the holiday time, even when I was in high school, I would get pulled in to work in the flower shop, and which my mom did not own at the time. She just had started out literally as a delivery driver and worked her way up and trained to be a florist, and eventually bought a flower shop. And as I was transitioning from being a lawyer, I was working in small business, and so came into the family business. And then what you find when you work in family business is that you're chief cook and bottle washer. So it was everything from driving and delivering flowers to going to wholesalers and buying flowers, cut flowers, and I was trained as a florist as well, and eventually opened up. Well, I'd had to take a break. I had to have a surgery to do some repairs on my leg where it had. I'm 27 years this year, survivor of giant cell tumor, a bone that broke my leg, and so there came a point where it had been repaired, and I had had the repair for about 5 years and had just worn it out because doctors are stupid sometimes, and they thought I wouldn't. They thought that the repair would be a lifetime repair, but then I didn't die, and so this should probably say trigger warning, but it's all good. I'm still alive today, so it's all good. But I had to go and have some revisions done, and so I'd taken time off, and then I came back, gone through rehab, and I was doing that, and just saw this spot. I was living in a small town, and there was this great retail spot, and I was walking past it, and I went and talked to my mom, and I said, I think we could make a go of a flower shop over in this community. And so we put together a deal, and she didn't really want a second location, but I didn't really want to keep working for her. And so I opened up my own flower shop for a while. And that's creative work, the work of your hands, and you sell that every day. So, and not only are you selling like cut flowers arranged, but we also did quite a few things with dried flowers and artificial flowers and things like that. So, I tell you, that will get you in the groove of selling your creative work just without blinking your eyes at all. It was kind of a long and rambly. For those of you here to be put to sleep, I hope that helped. Oh my. So I didn't sell my own artwork in the family business, but when I was my walls, I had framed photographs that were my work and sold more of the prints. And just it was a really cool little arty kind of a flower shop. So I think every artist works to their own pattern of creativity. Some people are able to have consistent output. I work in phases or different periods with different media. So it's been a minute since I've shown work at a gallery or had even worked at trying to sell stuff. I just have been kind of had my head down and worked at learning quilting and knitting and some fiber arts, and so it's actually been quite a long time since I've gone through a phase where I was working on visual arts for uh, an extended period. I think the last project I really worked on for this one was my photography, and was I don't know if this is going to sound kind of wacky, but I was building an Instagram channel with, I had a couple thousand images up there that were a lot of photographs from my travels around the Pacific Northwest. And before anybody goes crazy and goes, let's have a link. Uh, it's that project is largely dismantled at this point. So it's not really intact to see anymore. You kind of had to be there while it was happening. But there's some changes to that platform that um, when it shifted to Reels and it really started to favor videos and shorts, I guess, short video content instead of still photography. Um, I mean, I have a few shorts on my channel, but it's just not my jam. And also, quite a bit of my content over there was cannabis content. And uh, Instagram started really cracking down on that. And in ways that were just um, really difficult to navigate. So, big accounts that were kind of, I would describe as commercial cannabis, those guys got free reign. And the small channels just got hammered with uh, basically what was dressed up as a terms of service violation. And you couldn't run a channel without having it be privated, which I'm not opposed to. I mean, I think there are a lot of young people and a lot of people who live in countries where cannabis is not legal. I mean, heck, if you're in the United States, you're in one of those countries. But I just got frustrated trying to navigate all of that nonsense, and one day I went through and I weeded out every account that followed me that was not somebody that I had interacted with. And there were tons of followers that were, I don't know if they were bots necessarily, but they weren't people. And I wanted to know what was authentic. I wanted to interact with people. I didn't want to interact with, some company selling urban lifestyle wear, whatever the hell that is. Does anybody even know what that is? And it weeded my followers down by the thousands to get rid of that stuff. And then for a while, I just, you know, just interacted with people I knew, and a lot of the accounts got booted off Instagram because of the content was, most all of my friends in Northern California went away. And there's still a few to this day who are like, I don't know, I love keeping up with them. But it did convert the account, the work I was doing. Like since keeping on a topic, if you're not enjoying the work, and it wasn't furthering my goal, which was, in part to share art, but also it was to uh, create some awareness about who the cannabis consumer might be, and that it's just not always a 20-something white male. That sometimes it's a 60-something, uh, you know, person who's got chronic illnesses and some health challenges. So, did the chat freeze, or are you guys just being super quiet? If anybody out there could just pop a little hello in the chat, I would appreciate it, because it seems like the chat might have frozen. You don't have to talk, just... Okay, thank you, Jurgen. Well, let's see. Do you have any color preferences there, Jurgen? Anybody? They're going nicely tonight. I'm enjoying them. I've got sort of a drab pile going here. I like that one, but I feel like that's the color I just did. Oh, it's a little different. Love the green jade. The green jade. Yeah, it's hard to go wrong with green, right? I like this color, but it needs another layer. There's nothing to trace on that one. Was it this bright one that caught your eye? I got some paint that uses graphite from Kuretake, which is a Japanese company, and it's kind of beautiful, but it's very subtle, and I need to take a polishing cloth to this, or bring it up with another layer of color before I think I'm ready to... Ooh, that one might work. Oh, this one. This one actually, the paint is jadeite. Let's go with that. And that pink streak through the middle is actually rhodonite. RHODONITE. Genuine rhodonite. So... be working through my stash of those paints. I'm not going to be restocking from that company. And I'm hoping that some other company will pick up the slack. Yeah, it's pretty fun, huh? Yeah, it's an interesting... Get the focus there. Yeah, a lot going on in this little one. Every once in a while, I get this wild idea that the lines should just go where they want to go. Usually pretty good about not overlapping the shapes, but every now and again, it's kind of liberating to just let it go where it wants to go. So the point that I was rambling about that I think I didn't quite make was that in terms of creativity, I did consider the Instagram project um, a cycle of work. And during that time, I think it really made a lot of improvement in my photography. And I really loved it. I've always loved working in the square format. So Instagram was just built for square format until they started to just be reels. And I never really could figure out. I guess there are some people who are monetized on Instagram, but I could never really figure out how they accomplished it. And, there I was with thousands of followers and thousands of images up there. And then so often, like, it would just, every time I scrolled, I'd find stuff that was stolen, particularly when I was doing nug shots and cannabis photography. It would just, it would no more get loaded on my page. It would get propagated out. And I don't love that. I think there are people who are just like, oh, if they reuse your stuff, that's good. That's you're making progress. And I always thought, well, not really, because most of the people who were stealing my work, they, I'd run across a post and it'd have thousands of likes, and meanwhile on my page, my photo's sitting there and it's got a few hundred likes, but somebody who's stolen it is getting thousands of likes, and they're not referring back to my channel. So how is that? How is somebody stealing my work in that way benefiting me? And then in 2020, I finally caved in and came over to YouTube and started to see that there were artists and creators who were getting um, they were sharing their work, and they were finding ways to merchandise their work and to um, just like the overall experience. I watched YouTube for quite a long time before I ever figured out what live streaming was, and um, I still feel like I'm very much a novice at it, but I don't know. There was just something I couldn't quite crack about Instagram, so this feels a little bit. This YouTube feels a little bit like I can just it integrates with the work I'm already doing, I think. So for me, that is that's a better fit. I don't know. You guys tell me. Leave me a comment. Never object to a comment. Well, that's not true. May or may not have deleted a comment on one of my other channels today. Or possibly more. Don't troll me, bro. I'll show this one again. Got a good frame for the little fish that we did a few weeks ago. This one, I don't think. I think I'm just so charmed by this one. This one probably won't go to the gallery because I just kind of want it to hang out for a while and for me to enjoy it. Because it's charming and it makes me smile an awful lot. What do you guys think? We're running up to an hour. We'll hang out and do some more drawings. I know, as soon as I start to say it's been real, that's about when 3 or 4 people, folks roll in. Yeah, wasn't that fun? That was a viewer, Ernest Grass, said, hey, I'm looking at that and it just looks like there might be a fish right there. And I took a look at it and I went, mm-hmm, I see it too. So, I haven't left, I don't think I just, I think what the deal is I just don't leave room for fish in these, but now I don't know. There should be more fish, right? Because it's good. Give me a minute. It takes me a little bit of time to turn the creativity rig around and do a different direction. Alright, so I've just got tons of these ones that are really graphite-y. Oh, maybe we do a graphite-y one. I'm looking at them and I'm thinking they need another layer before they get. Well, we're back to that one again. Yeah, let's do that. And I also kind of like that one too. Alrighty, that'll get us going. That's the trick. Stop the sorting and make the art. Alrighty. Choice number 1. Choice number 2. Choice number 3. You have the Jeopardy count to tell me. Otherwise, I'm going to go with number 3 because it's really different from the other ones we've done tonight, I think. Although, do you scroll the live stream? All the oddball things people do? I could probably just sort the squares and have 50 people watching. Number 2. And that was this one. Okie dokie. Yeah, I kind of like these big islands of gray in it. It's got a lot of subtlety to it. Yeah, this is one of those squares that I just. Sometimes when there's some paint on the palette, I just grab a square because I want to paint something else. I want to work on one of the bigger paintings, and there's just a little bit of this and that, but I hate to waste it because I'm so, you know, it's a technical term, cheap. Very cheap. So I'll grab these little squares and then I just wet the palette and whatever little bits of paint are, I throw them on and we use them for this. So I don't always know what I've got going here. And it's a lovely, luminous kind of yellow green. And I kind of, right now, I'm kind of wishing I uh, could remember how I got there because it's pretty good. But let's make it into art, shall we? I was thinking about my folks recently. There's some days on the calendar that come up this month that have me thinking about my folks, and I was also rearranging the studio and inventorying the art supplies and having a look at what was on hand. And I realized that my parents never really bought me art supplies. That was down to my grandmother's. And I, of course, used a lot of my allowance and the money that I earned to buy art supplies. But my folks would just tell me, oh, you need to do something practical, right? You're never going to make a living as an artist. And through the midst of disability, like the thing that's remained constant in all phases of my life has been creativity. And it's taken a lot of different forms. I've worked in a lot of different media. And I just shared earlier that, like, my mom was a very artistic person herself. She was a very successful business owner with a florist business, which is creative work. But I think they just were raised at a time where you just had this what's the word I want? I guess a value, right? That you would raise your family up to do things that were practical, that weren't esoteric and frivolous. But when everything else was stripped away, the part that was left, after I was not able to work anymore, the part that was left was the creative part. So I think it's a lot of what defines us as a human is engaging in creative work. And I think most of us, I don't think I've ever met a person who wasn't creative. But I sure have met a lot of people who didn't think that they were creative or didn't think that they had any artistic capability. And, true, like we're not all going to be able to pick up a paintbrush and, you know, paint like a Renaissance master. I can't. But there's so many ways to be creative. I mean, it could be how you pick out your clothing and you put that together. I mean, that can be very artful. It could be musical. It could be dance or just as many ways as there are to be human. There are ways to be creative. So I hope that people today are more supportive of their kids having an artistic pursuit. So I believe it's really fundamental to just who you are in the world. And I hope the times have changed so that we don't feel like we have to raise our children just to grind out a paycheck doing some job that they loathe. But don't go so far as to tell your child they should make a living being a YouTube creator, because that's not a job. It's it's just no, just no. Yeah, I'm gonna prank people in Walmart for a living. No, that's not a job. That's not performance art. It's just an amusing hobby. Alrighty. Well, here's the art show. Had some jadeite and rhodonite there, and started off with some a fiery nebula. And some nice blues and greens. I'm gonna wrap it up here. I thank everybody who stopped in and hung out, and it's good to be back. And we'll see you some more during this coming week. Uh, take care of yourselves. Take some time, make some art, and leave a comment, leave a like. I appreciate that. I appreciate subscriptions and the views and all of it. Um, Thank you, Jurgen. You take care of yourself, and we'll see everybody next time. Bye now.